that those messages are coming from outside. That means they are much more conscious of our population than we are doing, and this affects our economy. Perhaps looking at that number properly, when you look at the 223 million population, it speaks volume, and it means a whole lot to the economy. Perhaps if you look at our fragile and weak infrastructure, you imagine where is this population going to be? What are the facilities they are going to use, and what is going to be the effect and multiplier effect of such population? In other countries, population is a blessing. It is expected that population should be a blessing, especially for a developing country like Nigeria. But it's quite sad that for us, it's going to be a double jeopardy if not well managed. But with the fact that by coming month or so, we are going to have our census itself. So we'll look at the two together, and I'm sure federal government will now have to work with it. Perhaps if you ask me, I think we are over such numbers. I only want to encourage Nigerians to make themselves available to be counted during this period, because you know they have said that don't travel to anywhere. Let's count you wherever you are, because you dwell in a particular place. So if planning is coming, planning will not go and plan for you in Ekiti or in Sokoto or in Kano while you reside in Abuja. Planning will be done for you in Abuja to make sure you are accommodated. And that's one of the problems we have with infrastructure. Have you noticed that there are some places that they place on infrastructure that does not add to the economy of Nigeria?
We're talking about I mean, the NPC telling Nigerians not to relocate or not to move at this point in time. Don't you think it's like, I don't know, this is a technology age. Your data should be able to be captured in anywhere you are. Don't you think so?
Correct. I want to agree with them. What they are simply saying is that do not travel because of census. They're not saying don't travel. But don't say because I want them to count me in Kaduna, let me quickly move to my village in Kaduna. No, stay where you are. Because where you are, it is where planning is for. That's where you dwell. Perhaps you have houses in Abuja, you have where you stay. Why do you have to move? Once you move, you have eroded that opportunity to be counted and to be planned for. Because the number of people in every locality will be planned for, you know, the senatorial districts, you know, everything has to plan. Perhaps, let's say we have a particular population in Gariki. In Gariki, there is expected to be a number of secondary school, number of primary school, number of healthcare facilities that are supposed to be in Gariki. So if you're not around, you are not counted, you will not be factored in, and before you know, the facility will be overwhelmed. You know, it will not be adequately planned for. These are what simply the census, the NPC is simply saying.
But I'm still fighting that idea, because if you, one thing that is constant in life is change. I may decide to change my location tomorrow. I'm a Nigerian. I may decide to say tomorrow I'm relocating to another state of the federation, probably after the census. Does that mean that I will not be factored in whatever location I'll be going to?
Well, I will agree with you if they are not doing census every 10 years. If they are doing it as an when due, it is proper that every 10 years we would have changed bases. Maybe if you graduated as a student of university, you would have moved to another location. Maybe if you have changed your job, you should be recounted by next 10 years. So perhaps that will be proper plan. That's what they are saying in essence. But you know, Nigeria is crazy, just like election. I want to go and vote in my village, in my constituency. You know, those are the things they say. Don't bring that into population census. It's quite two different things, and you know that all this affect our economy, and I'm sure that's what you want to dwell in more.
Absolutely. Talking about the economy, you just dragged me there right away. Census and of course population growth and economic growth actually work side by side. Why some say the economy should grow faster than population? We notice that in third world country like Nigeria, a developing country like you rightly mentioned, the population tend to grow more than the economy.
Well, it's because of the lopsidedness of our strategies and what have you. Ideally, economic growth must be far ahead of our population, because that's what will bring balance against the Malthusian theories that talk about geometric, you know, what have you. No, what we actually need is that there should be growth. If there is no growth commensurate with the you know, population, it's just like a well. we have a well, and that well is filled with water. Somebody now fell into the water, and water is above that person. But as you are trying to bring that person, there are more water coming in. Definitely, you'll not be able to bring that person. That's how population overwhelm development. So if we don't have a well-managed population, I wouldn't say we should reduce our population, no. Because look at America, have 331 million population, and everything is going as it is. In fact, as at now,
America is a structured society.
As a structured society, they have the will door. They have created a lot of job employment. The major thing is even in population is per capita income.
Growth, yes.
Per capita income, these people, what is their worth? And that's the problem we are having in Nigeria. We don't have skilled people. American sector have 77% service sector, and our service sector here is not even annexed at all. So we still have more people working in agricultural sector, and our major problem in Nigeria is urbanization.
Everybody wants to be in the city.
The standard of living is high. You won't blame people. Standard of living in urban center, it's very, very high. Why in local area or in rural area, let me use that correct language. In rural area, we have subsistence living. People just work from mouth. There is no adequate infrastructure. There is no place in America that doesn't have required electricity. In my village, if I have required infrastructure, electricity, do I have to come to the urban center? No. So what we need to do is that we must make sure that every rural area have the necessary expected infrastructure that can engender development, and people can stay around to work. Go to all these advanced countries. Some people have never left their local government in the past 60 years of their life. Yes. Primary education, secondary, university, you get your work. Why do you have to move around? And that's why if you look at FCT and Lagos, Kano, these people have humongous people that are trying to come in because the population
putting so much pressure on the infrastructure,
so much social infrastructure, so to say. There is a lot of pressure on it, and because of the availability of job, availability of social infrastructure, developmental activities and whatever. If we can also make sure we engender that in all these local areas, people don't have reasons to come to the urban center. So these are the things we have to look at. And another thing that government is also missing out is that the more you have correct population census, the more you get more taxes. That's another thing that we have to do, because you have to do that and be able to project.
You're talking about having more taxes. You have to be able to separate the working class from the...
Exactly. The thing is, if you have clear population, figures, you can easily know that these people are in this age bracket. Look at Nigeria now, unemployment is major. 41%. We have 41%. And if you have 41%, that simply speaks to the population itself. And this is the best time for Nigeria. You know why? Nigeria have young population country. Go to even America, they have old society. And we are going to suffer in the next 30 years. Because in the next 30 years, we're going to have old society as well. But now that we have young population within age 18 to 40, ready to work, ready to make sure economic growth. And what's the backbone of every economy? Is a working class that will make sure they bring more into work. And by the time they bring more into work, it will have a multiplier effect to the economy and whatnot. So for us to grow our economy, population remains a very key ingredient for us to move. Even policy making. Policy making is very, very key. We keep saying we don't know the number of this local government, we don't know the number of people. When you are providing water, electricity, road, schools, you have to know the numbers of people you are planning for.
Absolutely.
Right. Very, very key. So if you go to some places, you see 3 people in the class. If you go to some places, you see 150 people trying to study in a particular class. It reflects our population census that is not carrying out as and when due. And I think there should be a legislation that will make sure that the National Assembly should make a legislation that every 10 years, take it or leave it, there must be population census. Look at now, we are now relying on speculation. Because what World Bank is giving us is
United Nations
is giving us is pure speculation. There must be proper counting of people for us to have the projected, not even projected, the exact thing that was. If I thought it's not 100%, but at least we'll say 75% we are good.
But when you have a population, let's follow the UN projection as it is, 22, 23 million people, and you have over 100 million of them in multi-dimensional poverty. What does that say to the economy? Well, how healthy will this economy be?
It is quite not healthy. And if you look at that poverty, we are always being the poverty clock, leading the poverty clock. The fact is that simply
far ahead of India.
That simply reflects how we are not planning. And that's another plan we need to look. Nigeria have a National Development Plan 2021-2025. You agree with me apparently that doesn't factor this population.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem. But because we are just planning, and that's why buy-in is pretty difficult. If I made to know that in my local government, where I came from, we are 350,000 people, and I happen to be a policy maker, I'll be dragging for a policy that will favor such a population. But if I don't have that, I don't have basis to plan for. So our multi-dimensional poverty is a precursor that shows that definitely you are not doing what you're supposed to do. Because in fact now we have such poverty driven country, it's a serious issue. And look at every successive government always come with poverty reduction program. This present one come with the NSIP, Nigeria Social
Investment
Program.
Yes.
Now under this we have needs. I mean not needs. We have Jeep. Yes. We have Jeep. We have this one, Empower. We have cash transfer.
Yes.
We have conditional cash transfer. How was that reflected into development? These are what we have to look at.
Market money and all.
Obasanjo came up with these needs I mentioned. Yaradua, came with a lot of them. Even Jonathan came with a sure P, you win. And therein we have policy some and sort.
Because it appears none of these have been able to address
to reduce poverty.
The problem, yes.
Before it increases. So population, having the number of your population, perhaps it's not only having number of population, it will reflect number of people in school, reflect number of people working in government, reflect, it will bring a lot of demography, a lot of geographical identification.
Absolutely.
And that will now drive us to where we can engender development and what we actually need.
Absolutely. Leo, Elias, time is always not of our friend, especially when you're having fun.
Right.
Population, census is indeed key to economic planning.
Very
absolutely.
Key.
Thank you so much for your time on Business Day.
Thank you for having me.
And that is our offering today. Join us tomorrow for more. I am Yusuf Akogu.